you, Kate. A beautiful Friday night in the nation's capital. Home sweet home for the Redblacks. Only lost once here all last season, but the one team to beat them, the Montreal Alouettes. And that's the Friday night showdown tonight. Well, last week, while Ottawa lost its opener in Saskatchewan, the Alouette defense didn't miss a beat. I mean, the Argos scored only 10 points, and one of the leaders on that Montreal defense is Tyrese Beverett.
Yeah, absolutely no surprise. The most outstanding defensive player in the East Division last season. This is a guy who can line up anywhere, will make plays all over this 65 by 110-yard field defensively. We may even see him matched up tonight against this guy, former Alouette Eugene Lewis, playing game number 100 of his CFL career tonight and looking to set a CFL record with touchdowns in 10 straight games.
The CF-18 flyover here, right over TD Place for this home opener for the Ottawa REDBLACKS. There's Bob Dice, third full season as head coach. And I'm not going to try to speak over that. 7-1-1 here at TD Place a year ago. Best home record in the CFL. Best record overall belonged to Jason Moss and the Montreal Alouettes last season. And in his first year with the Owls, won the Grey Cup, of course, in 2023. The Redblacks won the toss, and they have deferred. So Richie Leone will kick off. It is Travis Tice and Sean Thomas Erlington back on a Friday night in the nation's capital. Glad you could join us. Week 2, Montreal and Ottawa. Sean Thomas Erlington has it, and he gets up just across the 40, taken down there by Davion Taylor. So in comes Davis Alexander. A 5-0 start to his CFL career as a starting quarterback.
Yeah, and Davis Alexander continues to get it done in different ways. Didn't pile up a lot of yards through the air last week, but obviously completing a high percentage of his passes, making the plays with his feet when he needed to.
A little over 200 yards passing, but ran the ball well. And you heard the studio talking about when the defense is clicking the way Montreal's is, it takes some pressure off the quarterback too. Sean Thomas Erlington faking to him, and then coming in to take it is Tyson Philpott, and gets it up near the Montreal 50. So we look at that Alouette starting offense.
Yeah, along that offensive line, 3 American starters on the offensive line. Des Holmes in at the left tackle spot for the veteran Nick Callender tonight. We'll keep an eye on him against those Ottawa DNs. Good sign for Montreal in the receiving corps. Austin Mack, 5 targets, 5 receptions last week. Good to see number 81 healthy to open this 2025 season.
Mack there. Philpott had the catch, picked up 8, 2nd and 2. Alouettes opening possession here in Ottawa. Handing off to Sean Thomas Erlington. He spins. Oh, he had to work his way for it across the 50, but it looks like he has enough for a first down for the Owls.
I'm taking a look at that Ottawa defense. Keep an eye on those guys coming off the edge. Bryce Carter and Lorenzo Malden at the DN spots. Davion Taylor, you heard Lapo talk about the importance of these linebackers in the front 7 in terms of stopping the Montreal run game. And youngster Charlie Ringland out of the University of Saskatchewan, spent last year with BC. He makes the start at free safety tonight. Alonzo Adai opens on the injured list.
Alexander quickly to the right, and it is off the fingertips of Austin Mack, who takes a pop as well from Charlie Ringland, who's getting the start at safety because of the injury to Alonzo Adai. Second down.
And here's a look at Davis Alexander's week 1 against the Toronto Argonauts. Nice job distributing the football, spreading it around. So that deep ball early to Tyson Philpott. Good to see chemistry between those two guys. Philpott having missed the back half of last season.
From the Alouette 52 and a 2nd and 10, looking to the right again, caught. Second catch of this young game for Tyson Philpott. And enough for another Montreal first down around the Ottawa 45.
And Tyson Philpott just doesn't miss a beat. Good on the outside, right side of your screen. Just hooks it up, giving his quarterback a good target. Ball is out on time. Nice move to make the first man miss with that little spin to the outside.
Much talked about the brilliant start to the season, first half of the season last year, before he went out for the rest of the season with a foot injury. Couple of catches so far. He had 4 for 48 yards and a touchdown last week. with lots of time. Alexander throwing, and an open receiver too. Philpott again down inside the 25, so a busy opening drive for Tyson Philpott. Alouettes in business, another 22 yards on that game.
One of the things that stands out to me about the production of Tyson Philpott is that he's doing this. He's not a one-man show. This is a deep receiving core, and you got the sense last year, but just to speak to his importance to it, when you look at the Alouettes receivers, 3 of them very close in terms of receiving last year. Cole Speaker, Charleston Rambo, Tyson Philpott, all very close. Philpott did it in half the number of games, 9 versus 18 for the other 2.
Down to the Ottawa 23, back on the ground for Sean Thomas Erlington, who was pretty busy last week as he picked up 86 yards on 17 carries.
There's a look at Tyson's numbers from last season. There you see it, 779 yards, as mentioned. Rambo and Speaker both just a little bit over 800. Philpott doing it in half a season, 1,500-yard pace.
Right out of the gate in week 1 a year ago in Winnipeg when he had a couple of touchdowns. And that's after scoring the Grey Cup winning touchdown the year before. Here's Alexander throwing again in tight coverage. Austin Mack down at the 5. Mack with the catch. The Redblacks saying no catch.
Now we've got a better look here, laying out for it.
So it is incomplete. Ball touches the turf.
On the field, an incomplete pass. It's going to be 3rd down.
Good coverage on the play from Amari Henderson, the former Saskatchewan Rough Rider. Starting at the field halfback spot here in a relatively young Ottawa secondary. We mentioned Alonzo Adai out of the lineup to start the season.
So there is Jose Maltos, 2 for 3 last week in the season opener against the Argos. And right down the middle here, with it being put down by Joseph Zima. The just under 30-yard attempt here for Maltos from Monterrey, Mexico. No problem at all. First points on the board on this Friday night. They belong to the visiting team. Matthew Schultz used to play for the Alouettes, started his career there. Tonight, he makes his 14th start, and it is against the Alouettes. Their possession coming up. Ottawa's #1 quarterback, Drew Brown, had a very solid game, threw for over 400 yards last week in Saskatchewan, but he got injured late in the game as the Ottawa comeback fell short.
Brown with a hip injury in that ball game. He's out this week, expected to just miss 1 game at this point, but we'll see the veteran Matthew Schultz under center.
So Brown watches Matthew Schultz and his first start with his new team, the Red Blacks, and that one, Justin Hardy, not going far. Last year, Schultz was in Calgary, got a couple of starts there. Before then, with the Hamilton Tiger Cats for a couple of years, and as said, it started actually back in 2017 when he and Drew Willie were quarterbacks in Montreal, and he was around with the Alouettes through 21.
Yeah, and I like this signing for Ottawa. Obviously, depth at the quarterback position has been a question for them for a few years, and particularly experienced depth. Schultz, an 8-year man.
On the 2nd and 10, Gino Lewis puts his head down up against his old team. Played in Montreal up through the 22 season before he went off to Edmonton in his first year now with Ottawa. Darnell Sankey in on the tackle.
Sankey, a tower of power in the middle of that Montreal defense. Ranging out to get in on the tackle there of Gino Lewis. And Gino, former MOP in the Canadian Football League during his time with the Owls.
He had some big years in Montreal, spectacular catches. Ottawa's hoping to see a sign of that here. This year, the Red Blacks, Richie Leone to punt it. James Letcher Jr. is back for it. As he cuts it back up, he loses the ball. Red Blacks say they got it. First big turnover of this game. Let the party get started in Ottawa. Look who has it, Adarius Pickett. Not only great on defense, special teams too. They forced the fumble. Ottawa ball in the Montreal zone.
I love the dynamic duo getting together to force this special teams turnover. Driving punt from Rich Leone. Bennett Williams, number 14, is the man who comes up with the strip. He's the guy who filled in starting at nickel linebacker last year when Adarius Pickett got hurt. They get his play on special teams a little bit more this year. He gets the strip. Pickett there for the recovery.
So at the Alouette 26, and it's just thrown inside for, that's Braylon Addison. Not much there, still at the 26-yard line. How about that Ottawa offense?
Yeah, keep an eye on this offensive line. 3 veterans on the interior. Jacob Ruby started a lot of games in his career in this league. Not necessarily a ton at center, but a veteran who will recognize some of the things happening defensively. The acquisition of William Stanback at running back along with Daniel Adeboboye makes a clear statement about what Ottawa wants to do with their ground game this year.
What they wanted to do there was draw the Alouettes offside, and looks like they were successful here.
Offside. Montreal, number 96, a 5-yard penalty. It's still going to be second down.
So it moves up towards the 20 now, announced by the referee Ben Major. It was Lowell Uguak caught offside.
And penalty, obviously a big aid to Ottawa, going from second and long to second and medium here. Much more manageable.
From the 20 of the Alouettes. With time, tosses it short. William Stanback, ex-Alouette. He is met by Darnell Sankey. They won a Grey Cup together 2 years ago and close to the first down marker. Got down close to the 16-yard line he had to get to. It is a first down.
Moving the sticks. Irresistible force meeting immovable object in that collision.
The Alouettes open it up in their opening drive with a field goal by Jose Maltos. But a turnover on punt coverage by the Red Blacks have set them up now. First down at the Montreal 16 for Matthew Schultz. Handing off to Stanback. Cuts it back. Gets it down near the 11. Have a look at that Alouette starting defense for this one tonight.
Yeah, in this group, you heard him. Ches mentioned Isaac Adeyemi Berglund in the opening 7 sacks last season, the East Division's most outstanding Canadian a year ago. Tywone Mullen takes over at the nickel linebacker spot. Bryce Cosby, who is the Owls' top rookie last season, released as Mullen won that job in camp. Wesley Sutton at the boundary halfback spot is a guy who has just been a terrific fit in terms of his versatility in Noel Thorpe's defensive scheme.
Here we go in a 2nd and 5. Swinging it out. Khalil Pimpleton breaks a tackle. Oh, near a first down. And Lorenzo Burns came in to meet him right around the first down marker to push him back.
Yeah, Lorenzo Burns switching numbers here in year 2 is with the Alouettes. Number 20, Pimpleton makes the first man. Sutton miss in space. But Burns, the corner, comes up with the stick to force this 3rd down situation.
Normally in 3rd and short, we'd see Dustin Crum, but Schultz has stayed in. In this situation, 3rd down and inches for the Red Blacks. Deep in the Owl zone, Schultz keeps it, has the first down. Just moving across the 5, so a 1st and goal coming up here for Ottawa.
A big response drive here for the Ottawa Red Blacks. We mentioned the experience in the middle of that offensive line. Matthew Schultz puts his faith in the interior 3. Desjardins at left guard, Ruby at center, Bladek at right guard, just getting in behind that wedge.
So a 1st and goal from the Montreal 5. There's Noel Thorpe, the defensive coordinator for the Alouettes. And a tough test right now. Matthew Schultz, his 14th career start. First, of course, with Ottawa. He has thrown 21 career touchdown passes, including one back in the Alouette days to Geno Lewis. But they take their time, a little discussion here with the officials and Bob Dice.
And that's going to change the personnel package for Ottawa. They
We're
get
going to
an
reset
extra
the game
offensive,
clock to 5:48, please. 5:48.
extra offensive lineman into the formation. This former Hamilton first-round pick, Dayton Black, out of the University of Saskatchewan.
The Red Blacks have had some injuries on their offensive line. Zach Pelios, who had projected to be their starter at right tackle, out. Eric Starsala is injured. Peter Godber, their new center. First and goal from the 5. Handing off. Stand back. Pushing towards the goal line. Well, it looks like they'll be putting it down at the 1, but he just kept chugging. He got close.
Yeah, just good power football there from Ottawa, getting a body on a body, moving the power. Braylon Addison, the slot back, is in that blocking scheme as well. You see the massive black jerseys moving forward.
And Dustin Crum, after Standback gets them close to see if he can finish it off. Their short yardage QB is in now in a 2nd and 1. Crum, no! Push back. They got him by his right leg. He couldn't move forward. And he's lucky just to get back to the original line of scrimmage.
Yeah, Dylan Wynn got under his man and threw a gap. Got a hold of the leg of Dustin Crum before he even had a chance to get moving. Watch for number 98. Just shot that gap in a hurry and disrupted the play.
So the Red Blacks, not that time. They have another chance. Touchdown or bust here. Crum in again. 3rd down, goal to goal. Trying to take the lead. Crum, left side. No! Denied again. What a stand. That's Jeffrey Cantaracu, the 2nd-year linebacker in there, coming in on Crum. And Montreal takes over on downs. 2 tries at the 1. Twice denied by that Alouette defense. Still 3-0 Owls.
Touchdown to win is on.
The Ottawa Red.
Just $5.99. Subway makes it fresh like that.
With the Ottawa REDBLACKS poised to grab a little bit of momentum in this ball game, the Montreal defense has a different idea. Jeffrey Cantaracu fights off the block of Dayton Black. Sheds him, gets outside and into the backfield as Dustin Crum tries to bounce it. You see Isaac Adeyemi Berglund as well, getting into the legs of Crum to wrap him up.
Well, we've heard this song before. Alouette defense, stand strong. Alexander has to start deep in his zone at his 2, but Montreal will take that. Red Black still with no points on the board. Throwing 2. It is the fullback. David Dallaire is working his way out near the 10 and getting a little bit of space at a 2nd and short coming up here for Montreal.
Yeah, and obviously you're limited. We had this conversation on the way over here to the stadium today about some of the limitations when you get the ball so deep in your own end. I know Paul LaPolice has liked to talk about this in the past, where you're limited in what you can do because of the location of the goalpost. You're basically working to one side of the field because you don't want to try and throw around those posts.
2nd down and short. Throwing. Or will Alexander take off? He's been known to do that. Tries to toss it to Philpott with Adrian Fry in between. Looked like Philpott was looking for a call, but Fry was there disrupting things. It falls incomplete. It's a 3rd down coming up, and the Owls will have to punt from their end zone.
Yeah, a little bit of nonverbal communication between quarterback and receiver here as Davis Alexander is on the scramble. You see him give Philpott a little nod, little signal to take it upfield. He tries to lob it over top, but Fry with pretty good position to prevent Philpott from making that grab in behind him.
So Joseph Zima stands inside his end zone. Devontae Dedmon, the returner for Ottawa, is back around the 45 of the Red Blacks. So even though Ottawa doesn't score, looks like they're going to get the ball still with good field position to see if they can take another run into the Alouette zone. Zima. And a good punt for Dedmon, running in off the hop and out of bounds, and nothing there once it hit the turf and rolled out. So right around midfield on this gorgeous June evening in Ottawa. TD Place, Friday Night Football. Defense is back on the field with more on that great goal line stand. Let's send it down to Luke Wilson. Luke.
Yeah, Rod, you know, it was obviously an unbelievable goal line stand. But for me, sometimes as an offensive guy, I kind of think to myself, why don't we stay on the right side? If you run this play over, the first down is a tremendous run. If you're watching this, take a look at the right guard and right tackle for the Ottawa REDBLACKS. It's a great double team on Oakman. I mean, they're pushing it back, we almost get in. I'm thinking, go right again. So we try left, okay, doesn't work. If you watch here in the second sneak, look at this. The gap is to the right. We just ran a play to the right a couple snaps earlier where we got a great double team. We try and go back to the left and get absolutely stonewalled. I don't fully get it. Again, especially when you have that success on first down. It was an unbelievable job up front. To me, your left point's on the board there.
Thank you, Luke. In other words, just stick with what's working. And went the other way, and it did not work out for the REDBLACKS. Still without a point, but they started a good spot just inside the Alouette zone across midfield now. They've had a good average starting position so far in this game. Late here in the first quarter. And that one taken down. Dylan Wynn coming in on Matthew Schultz. And a sack for the Alouettes.
A couple former Hamilton Tiger Cat teammates there in Dylan Wynn and Matthew Schultz, but no love lost as Dylan Wynn is going to work in the early portion of this ball game. Big play in short yardage moments ago. Great use of his hands there, just swatting off the punch of center Jacob Ruby and into the backfield.
He started his career with the Argos, won a Grey Cup on this field in 2017, then went to Hamilton. Now Montreal, a loss of 7. Second and long, Schultz to the right. And good coverage there by Tyrese Beverett on Eugene Lewis. And not even back to the original line of scrimmage, as Ottawa will have to kick it away.
And you can see Matthew Schultz wants to get that ball out of his hands in a hurry here, checking it down quickly to Gino Lewis, and you just see the defense swarming to him. Tyrese Beverett leading the way.
Richie Leone back to punt it. The last time he did, James Letcher on the return fumbled it. Set up Ottawa nicely. Gets it inside his 10. Letcher flagged down on the return. Pushed out of bounds around the 25. And it looks like the Alouettes are going to be with a chance to move it up a little bit further. There's Beverett, the Eastern nominee for most outstanding defensive player in 2024. It was a race between him and Roland Milligan, who both had just outstanding years last season.
A couple guys who both got it done in many different ways for their respective
During the
teams.
return, illegal block. Montreal, number 11, will go back half the distance. It's going to be first down for Montreal.
The rookie Akeem Harris has called on that, so no, it pushes the Alouettes further back on that illegal block. So second straight possession. Still a 3-0 Alouette lead. As a bit of a chat on what you can do, and special teams blocking from Kevionetto there with Harris. But second straight possession, Montreal is starting deep in their zone.
Yeah, and this can be the one positive that comes over the turnover on downs in this territory for Ottawa a couple possessions ago is what they come out of it with instead of points is at least an advantage in the field position battle, but they need to make Montreal pay with those short fields.
Davis Alexander 4 for 7 for 51 yards. They run it. And it's Sean Thomas Erlington again, grinding it up near the 10. Second down still ahead for the 1-0 Alouettes, who won their opener at home last week. 28-10 over the defending Grey Cup champions, the Toronto Argonauts, in a measure of revenge after the Argos beat them in the East Final last November.
Plenty of touches in that opener for Sean Thomas Erlington, over 80 yards on the ground for him. The release of last year's starter Walter Fletcher, Jeff Renant, we traded late last season. A couple guys that were ahead of him in that backfield. Erlington making the most of the opportunity here.
Alexander again coming in on Tyler Sneed. Breaking that one up is C.J. Colden, the first-year corner for the REDBLACKS, and that'll force them to punt from the end zone again.
Yep.
REDBLACKS defense saying you ain't seen nothing yet. 2-1 quarter Friday night football in Ottawa. It's the Alouettes opening field goal, and that's it. Could have been more, Dwayne, except for that goal line stand by the Owls to prevent the Red Blacks getting points on the board.
Yeah, you see the time of possession. We talked a little bit about that field position edge as well, but the Alouette defense doing their part to negate those advantages for Ottawa thus far.
And it's been a while, too, for the Red Blacks against the Alouettes, both overall and in this stadium in particular. It's a pretty long drought as you take a look. It's actually 10 straight road wins for the Alouettes. It goes back to 2018 since Ottawa has beaten them in their home park.
Yeah, remarkable, and a bit of a twist in terms of who the quarterback was for Montreal the last time.
And so, starting the second quarter, Joseph Zima's in again. Second straight time he will punt from his end zone. So no, the Red Blacks didn't get the points, but they're certainly getting the field position here and should again with Devontae Dedmon standing at midfield for Zima. Pushing him back now. Good punt down inside the Ottawa 50. And Dedmon goes to work, and he is stopped by special team tackler extraordinaire Alexander Gagne with his 8th special teams tackle. It's 7 in week 1. And this was, remember Johnny Manziel up against Trevor Harris? This is August 11th, 2018 here at TD Place. William Powell with the touchdown. The Red Blacks with the victory. Manziel and Harris. Remember Johnny Manziel? Remember all the fuss about
Johnny Football.
Johnny Football in Montreal. That is the last time the Red Blacks on their home turf beat the Montreal Alouettes. And it's from the Alouette 51 that Ottawa and Matthew Schultz, ex-Montreal quarterback, goes to work now. He is 6 for 6, by the way. Oh, it's intercepted! Big Lual has it. He's chugging, and Gino Lewis comes back to take Uguak down. Got himself a gift. Courtesy Matthew Schultz right into his hands, and he rumbled a little bit before going down, and now Montreal is set up in great shape.
Well, Lual Uguak is going to line up over on the right side of your screen at his defensive end spot. Starts to rush, and then you see him back out a little bit. And Uguak, a little bit of redemption for him. As you remember, he felt like he let an opportunity get away last week on the Nick Arbuckle fumble that was eventually recovered by Isaac Adeyemi Berglund in return for a touchdown.
So there you go. He got another chance. Play fake. That is complete. That's Tyler Sneed. First down, approaching the Ottawa 10. So suddenly, here come the Alouettes. And it's a turnover leading the way. Lual Uguak in his third year. Had a great rookie year when they won the Grey Cup in 23. Was away in the NFL for a while and had about half a season back with the Owls last year. And you're right. You could see him frustrated last week when that one went between the mitts. Had that chance in Arbuckle. And
ain't saying nothing about me. Don't worry. 2025. Don't worry. I've been gone for a bit.
He got another chance. You see Adeyemi Berglund right beside him there. And he had the defensive touchdown for Montreal last week. Running back is Travis Tice. He has the ball. And nowhere to go. Maybe a yard, just approaching the 10 as the Red Blacks have that all wrapped up. And a second down coming up.
Yeah, Ottawa perhaps looking to come up with a big defensive stand of their own in the early going. No surprise to see the veteran Michael Wakefield in on that stop. One of the defensive leaders for this team.
Ottawa's sacks leader. A year ago, he had 8, tied for the CFL lead in sacks, and would stop on the run there on Tice. Second down and 10 from the 12. Alexander with time completes it underneath the Tice, who spins, but Javon Santos-Knox says no further. And so it'll be a long third down and a field goal situation coming on. Expect to see Jose Maltos come on to see if he can double the Alouettes lead.
And this is all 3 levels of your defense getting it done. Watch the pressure first from the defensive line. Ball's got to get out quickly on a check down to the running back. Linebackers perfectly positioned to step up and make a play. Short of the first down marker, guys on the back end taking away the deep routes. Help force that check down.
So Maltos 1 for 1. And a 16-yard try here Joseph Zima to put it down, and right in front again, no problem at all. A chip shot for Maltos. They got the big turnover. They get 3 out of it, and a 6-0 lead on this Friday night in Ottawa. Last week in Montreal, the Owls' biggest defensive play came courtesy Isaac Berglund, who would pick up this fumble and take it in for the touchdown. More in the pride of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia now as we say hello to Claire Hanna.
Well, Isaac Berglund knew how to celebrate earlier this game on that goal line stand, but he told me he didn't know how to celebrate that touchdown because it's not something he's expected to do week in and week out. But one thing he does perfectly is his face paint. Yes, you'll notice it's become a staple of his game, and he started doing it when he was playing with Champlain College, Lennoxville in Quebec. His coach encouraged him to get into a different mindset when he'd be on the field. It gives him another persona, alter ego, if you will. Then when he transferred to southeastern Louisiana, Berglund kept doing it. Well, it helped him because when they played LSU, Berglund sacked Joe Burrow. He says it's still the highlight of his career. His brother, grandparents, mother were in the stands. The only thing that might beat that is winning a Grey Cup, guys.
Thank you, Claire, and he's on the field now with the rest of the Alouette defense. Yeah, that face paint, Dwayne, just says don't mess with Isaac. You see that on, you know he means business. He had a sack as well last week for the Alouettes in that victory, and good defensive performance, and that's Byron Vaughn's hanging on to that football now after a stop for a couple of yards there for the Red Blacks.
Yeah, coming off a fantastic 2024 season. Isaac Berglund, as mentioned, the East Division most outstanding Canadian a year ago. 7 sacks, 9 tackles for loss. An absolute force. Montreal has done a terrific job building their Canadian talent. You see it already this season and in this ball game. Berglund, of course, REDBLACKS as well defensively.
Schultz throwing and second down, caught by Gino Lewis. Off to the races and jumping for more before he's pushed out by Najee Murray. Lewis so close to being knocked away by the Alouette defender, but Lewis gets his hand on it and gets a whole lot more.
Yeah, look at how far off the corner is and how much of a run he kind of has to make when Gino hooks this up short. Just can't quite get there in time. KP Ento. Schultz gets it to Lewis with Ento taking that gamble and missing a little bit of room to roam for Gino to pick up that first down.
He's got 3 catches now for 41 yards. It's a 1st and 10. On that hit screen coming in is Keelan White, who gets it down to the Montreal 36. We'll talk about Eugene Lewis. 9 straight games with a touchdown. He had one last week in Saskatchewan against the Riders. Dwayne, just 1 away from the legendary Terry Evanson for the all-time mark.
Yeah, obviously an impressive run for Gino Lewis, particularly knowing the attention that he's going to get from opposing defenses.
If he can get a touchdown tonight against his old team, he can tie that record with time. Schultz. And there he is to Gino again, down inside the 25. And another first down for the Red Blacks on the move. 13 more yards for one of the newcomers to Ottawa this year. 87.
And Lewis, along with Matthew Schultz, certainly doing his part to put his team in position to try and take a shot at the end zone.
By the way, of those 21 touchdown passes in his career for Matthew Schultz, one was to Gino Lewis when they were both in Montreal back in 2019. 1st and 10, and quickly back to Lewis. And he can't get much there. It's Wesley Sutton chasing him down and wraps the ankles and limits the damage.
Yeah, this is a nice job by Wesley Sutton defending as there's a wave of blockers coming out on this little slip screen trying to bring Gino Lewis back to the inside as the blockers come inside out. Sutton manages to get underneath and stay on the tail of the receiver.
Right down approaching the 20 and a 2nd and 8. Ottawa still with no points on the board. Another great shot. They were denied twice at the Alouette 1 in the first quarter. Pressure. Schultz escapes. Threatening to throw, instead trying to get to the first down marker. He is stopped around the 16, well shy. So a 3rd down coming up, and we expect to see Lewis Ward to come on and see if they can cut this Alouette lead in half.
Yeah, Matthew Schultz might have had a shot had he taken off right away. He was hoping something would open up in the passing game, so stayed a little bit lateral with his path rather than attacking downfield.
Red Blacks had a little trouble in their kicking game in the preseason, and then last week, Lewis Ward went 0 for 1 and missed an extra point as well. He's just not in sync with the center and the holder, Richie Leone, there. Last week at Mosaic, no problem there. Out, down, and kicked, and that's Lewis Ward. Got his first field goal of the season. Puts 3 points on the board. Matthew Schultz and that Ottawa offense halfway through the second quarter. Saving the world with Putin, hockey pucks, and the power of ice. Super Team Canada's here. The new animated series for adults starring Will Arnett and Kobe Smulders. That is streaming now, and that is only on Crave. Back here in Canada's capital, TD Place in Ottawa. The Red Blacks just got some points on the board. And a good crowd here tonight to watch the Alouettes leading at 6-3 midway through the second quarter. Running back Sean Thomas Erlington. And it is tossed by Schultz, deep and open. And it is Tyler Sneed being chased down and hauled down just inside the Ottawa 5. Biggest play of this game on offense coming from Davis Alexander, finding Tyler Sneed, the third-year Al receiver.
And Tyler Sneed, another Alouette receiver who battled injury last season.
23. The ball be
making his presence felt early here in 2025. Just taking the hole in the middle of the field. Davis Alexander lets him run under this one.
Well, Robert Priester takes a penalty, but he saves a touchdown here, too, on a 65-yard catch and run from number 85, Tyler Sneed. Now Montreal approaches the goal line. First and goal from the one. Caleb Evans, the ex-Red Black quarterback, is in. Punches it in for the Montreal touchdown. And in that goal line play, the Alouettes waste no time. It is Evans. His first 2 years in the CFL were with these Red Blacks before he ended up now in his third year in Montreal.
Yeah, Evans just going to slide to his left. Terrific get off there from the left guard, Pierre-Olivier Lestage.
They strike quickly. Had poor field position for much of this first half. But one big play, Alexander to Sneed, really changed things here after the Ottawa field goal. Montreal right back down in just a few plays, leading to the Evans touchdown. And now a 10-point Alouette lead.
Well, it's a plunge from Caleb Evans that scores the points. But big play in this drive was Davis Alexander to Tyler Sneed. Watch the defender, the halfback, Priester. He looks like he's trying to read the route and anticipates that it's going to be a break to the outside from Tyler Sneed. Had his hips turned completely to face the sideline as Sneed breaks back to the middle. No help down the center of the field. So Davis Alexander can just lead him with the bomb. Sneed goes and gets it for a massive gain to set up the score.
Now puts him at 99 yards in the 2 games in receiving this season. He had 34 last week. Here's a return from Devontae Dedmon up to midfield. And again, the Red Blacks offense will have a good place to start after that return. 41 yards for Ottawa return specialist Devontae Dedmon.
Dedmon certainly has had some memorable games against the Montreal Alouettes in the return game. A big one there to get his team just past midfield to start this drive.
(13-3) second quarter, Friday Night Football in Ottawa. Matthew Schultz going back to work now, taking the handoff, rolling to his right, and then throws a low one, whistled down, intended for Justin Hardy, the second leading receiver in yardage in the Canadian Football League last year.
Schultz didn't quite get what he wanted on that football. But regardless, I started to say earlier, I like the signing of Matthew Schultz in this role in Ottawa, not just a veteran guy in his 8th year in the Canadian Football League, but also a guy, as you heard the panel mention pregame, has some experience with offensive coordinator Tommy Condell, with the two of them having been together in Hamilton a couple years ago. Schultz enjoying a little bit of success in a handful of starts there.
Throwing now, knocked at the line of scrimmage and intercepted. Jeffrey Cantaracu, who had a big stop at the goal line on the 3rd and 1 in the first quarter. Another big defensive play as it's caught at the line of scrimmage, bobbled up, and number 9, Cantaracu, comes down with it.
Cantaracu coming off the left edge. Gets a hand on it, manages to track that football. Comes up with the interception. You know, and I talked about the Canadian talent for Montreal and how much they get out of their Canadians. And you look at their lineup, they're able to play 3 Americans on their offensive line because of the Canadian depth they have at so many other positions.
That is caught. Another catch on the night for David Dallaire. Gets it post down to about the 47 of the Red Blacks. But yeah, Cantaracu, one of the, something you followed very well, the drafts every year, and that was a big name, Montreal's first pick last year in 2024.
Yeah, and you know, when we've been calling out the names of some of Montreal's picks throughout this game, you look at Cantaracu, Lual Uguak, Tyson Philpott, Pierre-Olivier Lestage, all first-round picks for this team. We know, obviously, Marc-Antoine Dequoy, another guy, a 2nd-round pick for them a few years ago. Sean Thomas Erlington signed as a free agent.
Alexander, no, just a bit too far. Coming in on that route was Austin Mack, but it's incomplete. And 3rd down is coming up now for Montreal.
You know, and just continuing with that thought, Isaac Adeyemi-Berglund as well, signed as a free agent, but again, Canadians playing not necessarily non-traditional positions, because we've seen the evolution of Canadians playing at every position in this league. I think the stereotyping is gone, but it's allowed Montreal to, as I said, add some depth to their offensive line, playing with 3 American starters there because of the depth and talent of their Canadians at other positions.
2 returners back for the Zima punt, and that is being sent Khalil Pimpleton's way. And out of bounds it goes, and a good punt there by Zima. Talk about the defensive players, all the Canadians too, but then you got the likes of that man who was the East nominee for most outstanding defensive player, Tyrese Beverette. Started as an excellent special teams player with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, but really, as far as defense goes, didn't get his chance to fly until he joined the Montreal Alouettes.
Yeah, absolutely. He has made the most of the opportunity to spread his wings, become a star in the Canadian Football League.
I think we milked that pretty good, didn't we? Birdman, Tyrese Beverette, one of the stars in a star-studded defense for Montreal. And yeah, they allowed 10 from the Argos last week, only 3 on the board for Ottawa. When they had a chance for more, cutting back. William Stanback, mentioned, had a touchdown for Montreal in the Grey Cup 2 years ago. 31-yarder, and 31 moved on to the BC Lions last year.
And the game of running back musical chairs in the offseason. Sees Stanback leaving BC, coming back to the east with Ottawa, James Butler. Moving from Hamilton back to BC.
Ottawa clearly wants to run with more power now, and getting Stanback and Daniel Adeboboye, who had been with the Argos. But they don't have the rushing numbers yet so far in this season, and they're not getting them there. Adeyemi-Berglund, Uguak, denying Stanback, pushing him back, and a 3rd down coming up.
Yeah, get a look with the spider cam at the terrific penetration from this defensive line. You see Uguak inside. First man in, Adeyemi-Berglund coming off the other side.
Richie Leone inside his 10. James Letcher just inside his 40. goes back to go to the left, and the flag is down, and Lucas Cormier, another talented specials teamer with the Red Blacks after a punt of 53 yards, makes that tackle on Letcher.
Yeah, big play there from
While the ball
Cormier,
is in
former
the air,
second-round pick.
illegal block, hands to the face against the kicking team. It's going to be a 10-yard penalty. It's going to be first down for Montreal.
Referee Ben Majors, so hands to the face, but on the kicking team against Ottawa. So they're going to march this one a little further up in the Alouettes' favor. You mentioned Cormier, one of the higher draft picks in recent years for the Red Blacks.
The 10th overall pick in 2023, native of Sackville, New Brunswick.
They had said number 6. The flag was against the Darius Pickett. But Montreal football, the bottom line, up at their 49 now. 13-3 they lead. They'd like to add to that lead, heading towards the 3-minute warning. They'll run this play. Handing off Travis Tice, and the rookie earning himself a job for his performance in the preseason on offense and on special teams. Gets it up near midfield. Tackled by Javon Santos Knox. They officially make it the 3-minute warning. Alouettes leading it by 10.
Lots of love to the Canadians coming up at halftime, and for the very first time this season, boys, what do we have?
Straight fire!
I'm gonna need the enthusiasm to go up. It's a little bit up.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Up.
Straight fire. That's the halftime panel. Kate Burness and company. That's coming up. That's 2:54 on the clock here at TD Place. Alouettes with the ball. It's a 2nd and 5 for Davis Alexander under pressure. Shuffles it off there to Tyler Sneed. Another big play of this half. He gets taken down, and another flag for a horse collar, just like that big reception he had. So a penalty will push them even closer to the Ottawa Red Blacks end zone.
Major foul, horse collar tackle. Ottawa, number 23.
It's Robert Priester again.
From the end of the play, it's going to be first down for Montreal.
You see Tyler Sneed start off in the backfield. Little check release, basically to a screen. Let the rush come upfield. Get the ball to the receiver in behind. Pretty unique on the execution with the chest pass there from Alexander, who's hustling downfield trying to get a block. Tyson Philpott, by the way, doing an excellent job getting on his man to allow Sneed to get to the sideline.
That one went 35. The other big one went 65 for Tyler Sneed, having himself a half. Taking the handoff to Tice, dumping it out to Philpott, and coming in as Priester with a good defensive play to stop Philpott in his tracks.
Robert Priester, who came over from Toronto in free agency, adding a little bit of experience to that Ottawa secondary. Veteran guys like Brandon Dandridge, Money Hunter, having moved on. Elijah McGee, DeAndre Lamont, along with Alonzo Adai, all on the injured list here early on. So relatively young group.
On a 2nd and goal from the 6, Alexander running around, throws it away. This lives to play another day, and field goal situation now. 3rd down, so they got down goal to go, but wait a minute, there's a flag out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be illegal grounding. It took them a few seconds to sort of evaluate where that ball landed before throwing the flag.
Intentional grounding, Montreal number 10. It's going to be 3rd down at the spot of foul.
From Ben Major, so grounding, 3rd down, and this ball will still be put down just outside the Ottawa 26 by Joseph Zima. So Maltos is 2 for 2, trying to make it 3 for 3 and increase that lead to 13 points late in this half. 27-yarder. Jose Maltos. Barely 2 minutes on the clock until halftime. It is now 16-3 for the Alouettes. Some big plays in the second quarter by that Montreal offense. Let's go back to Luke Wilson.
Yeah, when you're watching this, Rod, and you see what's going on here, the tough part for the Alouettes has been the run game has not been great, which is the opposite of last week. They're really getting stuffed up front, which is kind of what they're hoping for to get going, to open up this whole offense. So you can't run the ball efficiently at the moment. I do think they'll stick with it, but what I respect is that Jason Moss then says, okay, the run game is clearly not humming like it was last week. Let's take a shot. And we watched this earlier to Tyler Snead, and it's a great job. You wonder how this happened. In the Canadian game, especially with the waggle, you see here they like to do these take-two clear-outs, but right here he sells the clear-out and basically gets that DB to turn his hips. So that'll be something that on film in the week leading up to this, hey, last week we put on film a lot of these clear-out inside go balls. We're trying to take the safety in the corner. Let's see if we can get them this week by selling outside and slide back underneath, and it's an unbelievable job there by Snead, obviously the biggest play of the game so far.
Yeah, and a variety, Luke, of plays, but yeah, that's the biggest one of all for that Alouette offense. 65 yards we saw Snead, and that set up Montreal nicely. They're up 16-3 now. Halftime is getting closer. Matthew Schultz from the play fake and gets it off to Braylon Addison for a first down just across the Ottawa 50.
And allowing Matthew Schultz to get on the move a little bit. Take advantage of some of his athleticism off a sweep look in the backfield. Braylon Addison, another former Ticat in this Ottawa offense, making the grab.
Now in his third year with the Red Blacks, he gets 11 yards. Approaching midfield. They still have lots of time. But not on the play clock. Trying to get this away. Schultz. And no, he doesn't. That hit zeros. It was getting precarious there, and he takes a time count. Tough penalty to take in this situation, isn't it?
Well, after picking up the first down.
Time count violation. Ottawa, number 16. It's a 10-yard penalty. We'll replay first down.
So 2:03 on the clock. Still lots of time, but yeah, that valuable 10 yards pushing them back to the 41 now. Their own 41.
A combination of field position and obviously just down in distance, right? 1st and 20 is a tough hole to get out of. And they're going to add to that.
Another penalty coming up against Ottawa's offense.
So you hear coaches say all the time.
Offside, Ottawa, number 83. It's a 5-yard penalty. It's still first down.
Got Khalil Pimpleton there, but I mean, given where they were near midfield and given the time left in the half, disastrous set it down so far for the Red Blacks.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, one of the big messages I think from any coach, don't compound a mistake with another mistake. They got to that 1st and 20 and then tack another 5 yards on.
1st and 25, much further back, and trying to get it up near the original line of scrimmage, what they had for Gino Lewis. Lorenzo Burns starting this season on the boundary corner for the Alouettes, there to break that up.
Yeah, Burns kind of took over that spot partway through last season. Nice coverage, nice break to the football there to get a hand on it.
He had an interception last week in that victory over the Argos. Lorenzo Burns, second year out of Arizona. Daniel Adebaboye, first-year Red Black, coming over after 3 seasons with the Argos, gets the carry, but Darnell Sankey and that Montreal defense certainly fired up.
And you can hear the crowd here in Ottawa not loving the run call on 2nd and extra long. So obviously limited number of play options there, looking for the element of surprise. But you went from 1st and 10, a little bit of momentum, to having to go with a high percentage, or low percentage play rather, just to try to get back to the original line of scrimmage.
So back to Richie Leone now to punt it to James Letcher. And hey, the Alouettes may not be done. Up by 13. Still got a buck and a half to go in this until halftime. And Letcher has it inside the 30. Cuts it back up, and a good tackle there by Bennett Williams on special teams. Well, get ready for a U.S. Open Round 3 live action from Oakmont Country Club. And how about Sam Burns, lost in a playoff at the Canadian Open just last Sunday, and he leads the way by a stroke. Of course, U.S. Open, much tougher conditions for the golfers at 3 under par. He's got the one-shot lead. Round 3 tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern on TSN and TSN+. And Matthew Schultz talking it over with Drew Brown, who suffered a hip injury last week in their season opener at Mosaic Stadium in Regina. So Brown sits this one out and still trying to help out his backup, Matthew Schultz, in this game.
Ottawa just looking to try and get something going, but football can be such a game of momentum. You think back to that goal line stand by Montreal in the first quarter of this ball game, and how much that changed the face of the opening 30 minutes of this match.
Saw the player walking off as Davion Taylor, their starting Will linebacker, weak side linebacker, was getting that spot with the injury to the usual starter at Will, and that's Frankie Griffin. So an injury to the Red Blacks defense. Montreal has the football. See Bennett Williams in there. Filled in a lot, as Dwayne talked about last year after the injury to Adarius Pickett. It's in on that Red Black linebacking core. 1:24 in the clock. Inside the 35 of the Alouettes with a 13-point lead. Off to the left, coming in. And it is James Letcher, who, because of a suspension at Charleston Rambo, has actually left the team. He'll be back next week for personal reasons. Letcher getting a rare start as a receiver. He's mainly a return specialist. Only 21 yards receiving his entire 4-year career with Montreal. He's got a catch there.
Yeah, a guy who's been in the system, knows the offense. Obviously, his primary role a little different.
That's caught quickly for a first down. And that is Sneed again. 5'7" Tyler Sneed, who plays, well, he punches way over his weight, doesn't he? He likes to get in, mix it up, and the blocking, everything else. A tough receiver, too, and he's had some big plays in this first half. One for 65, another for 35. Under a minute to go until halftime. Throwing again is Alexander. That's his new favorite receiver. He's got James Letcher. That's 2 catches for Letcher, who has had 4 catches, as mentioned, his entire CFL career heading into this drive.
Yeah, top of your screen is Letcher. Return specialist, but demonstrating that he is not a one-trick pony. In terms of that Ottawa defense, because the American Davion Taylor went out, he's replaced at weak side linebacker by Lucas Cormier, a Canadian. They bring the American Bennett Williams in at safety for Canadian Charlie Ringland.
That's Sean Thomas Erlington. Now the feature back for the Alouettes. They made some changes in having the Canadian product of the University of Montreal with a lot more business so far this young season than he had last year.
Yeah, crowded backfield in Montreal a year ago. Sean Thomas Erlington, of course, played the Montreal Canadiens University for now Alouettes general manager Danny Machocha.
Started his career in Hamilton. Throwing again. Down low, but it is Austin Mack coming up with it. And you start to think a field goal range for Jose Maltos, who's 3 for 3. 20 seconds to go. And a second down coming up here as the Alouettes quickly get over the ball.
Yeah, Alouettes chipping away, taking advantage. That snuffed out Ottawa drive.
Might have a chance for 3 more here. Alexander looking around. and puts it underneath to Thomas Erlington, and he has certainly got it in the Maltos range. His career high is 53. 3 for 3 in the night, 3 shorter ones. And we're getting close to that point. It is a 1st and 10, but only 6 seconds on the clock. So it looks like, well, they were considering running another play, but now they're not. Maltos, mentioned from the global player from Monterrey, Mexico, coming on and got officially the starting kicker's spot after the retirement of David Cote, who was injured last year, and Maltos had taken over. And something you always have to think about with long field goal tries, you got Devontae Dedmon back there, a 49-yard try, and Dedmon is certainly known to break them. To make it 19-3, last play, first half, straight away, Maltos, a perfect 4 for 4. A little flex from a guy who actually started in the CFL on the Ottawa REDBLACKS practice roster and picks up another one here.
Perfect operation there for Montreal in the kicking game. Add to their lead as time expires.
All fired up. They do have the touchdown, but they've got the 4 field goals. And this is a sample of what the Alouettes did to dominate the REDBLACKS, Dwayne, in that first half.
An outstanding job defensively for Montreal in the opening 30 minutes, while Uguak coming up with a big interception.
Hung on to it that time.
Yes, sir.
He celebrated. He's standing by now at the half with Claire Hanna.
Luel, you guys have allowed the REDBLACKS just 3 points in this first half. Looking back to that first quarter, what was the key to your goal line stand?
Honestly, I think it's just the type of defense that we have. It's one of our 3 key pillars on defense. Short yardage and goal line just sets the tone for everything. If you can't, that's where we got to really nut up and play good ball.
Now, last week you thought you might have had an interception. Right. You watched Isaac run past you, get the touchdown. You get one this week. Right. How come you couldn't bring it to the house?
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. It's a lot of field. I'm Canadian, and I've played on big fields like this my whole life, but it was a lot of field. I'm happy that my teammates yelled out that there was someone coming to grab the ball on the other side, so I just tucked it in. I said, I got my little interception, good little run back. I don't need a touchdown right now. We'll get one later on in the season.
Isaac, pardon me. Thank you.
Of course, appreciate you.
Halftime in Ottawa, and the Alouettes' dominance of the REDBLACKS here continues so far, 19-3. Here's Claire Hanna now with Ottawa middle linebacker Javon Santos-Knox.
Javon, you guys did a great job of limiting Montreal's run game. How do you limit some of those deep balls?
We got to get more pressure on the quarterback and just play our coverage. Don't do too much. Don't play outside the system.
How do you turn this game around?
We got to match their defense. Right now, I think they got 3 turnovers. Our defense has to do the same. We have full trust in our offense. They're going to get the job done.
Thanks, Javon.
Thank you.
Montreal has turned it over once on a punt return, but yeah, the Alouettes benefiting from forcing 3 turnovers of the REDBLACKS. Montreal will kick off. Khalil Pimpleton is back with Devontae Dedmon to get this second half underway, and Ottawa's got some work to do. They trail by 16. The Alouettes outscoring them in the second quarter, 16-3. That's Dedmon. And up approach across the 30, gets to about the 33. Taken down there, Tyrell Richards in on the special teams tackle. So a look at Matthew Schultz in his first start for the Ottawa REDBLACKS.
Yeah, and you heard Javon Santos-Knox talk about it. Turnovers, a little bit of the story. Montreal is creating them. You saw Uguak interception. Jeffrey Cantin-Arcou with an interception as well, and turnover on downs, with Ottawa pressing for a touchdown.
Faking the handoff, throwing. It's Khalil Pimpleton, and it is the tackle right there for the Alouettes. Byron Vaughn's their end. Make it a gain of maybe a yard. Second down and long coming up.
Vaughn's one of a handful of newcomers on that Montreal defense this season. Lanky defensive end, finished up his college career at Baylor University.
Call it 2nd and 8 now. 3 receivers at the top. Well, off the the fingertips and down. The coverage is there from Wesley Sutton on Braylon Addison. Right at the Ottawa 50. Would have been enough for a first down, but he can't haul that down. So it's a 2-and-out. Red Blacks to start this second half as Schultz and the offense head off the field.
Yeah, just a quick out, well read by the defender. Ball hangs up a little bit as Sutton almost the one to come down with that ball.
Richie Leone to punt it away to James Letcher running, and a flag comes out. That ball cannot go out of bounds in the air outside the 15-yard line, well outside in that case at around the 32. So that's a penalty against Leone and the Red Blacks. So better place for Davis Alexander to go work, and look at what he did. Pretty good first half for the Owls QB.
Yeah, early on it was Tyson Philpott on some quick hitters. Then it became a little bit of the Tyler Snead show as the first half unfolded. A couple of big catches from him, putting him over 100 yards in the opening 30 minutes.
Alexander threw for 205. That's the total he had for the entire game last week in their 28-10 victory over the Argos. So projected right now to head over 400 unless that Red Blacks defense stiffens up. Yeah, those big plays certainly help.
Yeah, you heard Luke Wilson talk in the first half about Montreal's ability to adapt, a team that wanted to be able to run the football. Ottawa doing a good job shutting that down, but Montreal has other ways to hurt you, and they certainly did that via the air game.
So because of the punting it out of bounds in midair, it moves up to the 43 for the Owls to get started. First possession, second half, leading by 16, and that one off the fake is incomplete, intended for Austin Mack. Alexander comes into this game 5-0 as a starter. That is the best start by a CFL quarterback since Bo Levi Mitchell with Calgary, who started at 7-0 to tie Jeff Garcia. Danny McManus, it actually started with Winnipeg. He played sparingly, went to BC, and Danny Mack won his first 8 starts, leading the way in that category.
You'd never go wrong with Danny Mack.
You never can. Former colleague of ours, too, by the way. 8-0 start. Alexander is trying to go to 6-0. And looking good so far as Mack has that one. Austin Mack, the star receiver, especially in his first year back in 2023. The year they went on, won the Grey Cup in Hamilton over Winnipeg.
Yeah, Austin Mack parlayed that 2023 success into a second look from the National Football League. Spent the first part of last season in Atlanta, eventually returning to the Alouettes. Never really found his stride at the end of last year as he got banged up right away upon his return.
Missed a lot of the season, the NFL, and with the injuries, 2 catches, 23 yards. Off the fingertips and intercepted. Tip drop. It's C.J. Colden with it. He had a pick last week. His first game on the boundary corner for the Red Blacks, part of that all-new secondary. And at Ottawa's defense, you heard Javon Santos Knox talk about it. We got to get some turnovers. They got one there off the tip. Ottawa football in the Owl zone. Red Blacks have the ball. Went off the fingertips of Tyson Philpott into the hands of C.J. Colden.
Yeah, you see Philpott on the outside furthest to the left on your screen. And it looks like he just didn't get the arms fully extended as he reached for this ball. Maybe a little bit late to react to it. Off his fingertips, C.J. Colden happy to keep that ball from hitting the turf.
Had one CFL start with Ottawa last year, but so far this season, 2 interceptions. Had one last week, and it's William Stanback running. The running game, neither team has it going very well, but Stanback, a pretty good pickup there on first down. Gain of 6, 2nd and 4 ahead for the Red Blacks.
There you see C.J. Colden. One of the youngsters in this Ottawa secondary. 26-year-old who finished his college career at Oklahoma.
2nd and 4 after that carry by William Stanback, who is 24 yards rushing now. Deep look down into the end zone for Gino Lewis. Has the catch. An pursuit of that record, tying that one of Terry Evanshan. Right down near the end zone. Are they calling a push-off?
We have pass interference. Montreal, number 20. It's going to be first down for Ottawa at the spot of the foul.
Lewis out wide into the boundary here. He and Justin Hardy working the short side of the field. Little stop and go move on Lorenzo Burns. Burns recovered and stayed with him pretty well. But Burns got himself into trouble on the throw behind as he's trying to fight to get back to that ball.
So the flag puts it right down. They don't do half the distance anymore. This is, of course, right down at the 1. The incomplete pass. Lorenzo Burns there. And they've been in this situation before. It's Dustin Crum. It's first and goal. Crum keeps. And this time he gets it in for the Red Blacks touchdown. A turnover leading to a touchdown. Just what the Red Blacks needed to get back into this game.
Javon Santos-Knox called it at halftime. Got to match those turnovers and trust the offense to make their plays. They go back to the left side again here with Dustin Crum on the sneak, even though it looks like there's a little bit of a bubble to the right again. But this time getting the job done.
Lewis Ward on for the point after. Just what Ottawa needed, and defense a big part of it on the interception by C.J. Colden. So Ward is good, and it is now a 9-point game, still 2 scores, but Ottawa does get closer after the touchdown by Crum, after the pass interference and the attempt to Eugene Lewis. Well, he scores touchdowns, but he also draws big interference calls, as he did here. And yes, superstar edition, I get it here. The Geno Lewis doll. Well, he's still pursuing the record, Dwayne. Close that time, looking for his 10th straight game with a touchdown.
Yeah, very nearly had it, but he sets one up for Dustin Crum. I'm sure he'll gladly take the 7 points. Whoever gets credited on the score sheet.
Remember, too, the Red Blacks down in that territory in the first quarter and had 3 cracks at it, twice from the 1, and could not get the touchdown. This one goes over Travis Tice's head, rolls into the end zone off the kickoff, and has no choice but to just fall on it. And another point on the board for the Red Blacks on that kickoff by Richie Leone to make it an 8-point game. 1-score game now at 19-11.
Yeah, interesting strategy on the kick, low driving kick. They managed to get it on the ground, takes a little bit of a bounce. You know, it looked almost like Sean Thomas Erlington in the end zone may have been reminding Travis Tice, live ball, you got to get on it, as the newcomer maybe delayed for a second before picking up that football.
Davis Alexander, 16-23 for 221. And we got a tighter game now, just 8-point difference. Montreal back to work on offense. Sean Thomas Erlington. And really trying to establish that running game as well. Before that carry, he only had 12 yards and Tice 5. So not much on the ground against Javon Santos-Knox in that Ottawa defense.
Yeah, Santos-Knox trying to fire up the troops down there.
Well, one thing he said to Claire Hanna that they needed desperately has come through so far. The turnover and subsequent touchdown to get them back in it. 2nd down and 7. Caught first down up to the midfield stripe is Austin Mack. Another catch for Mack. First down for the Owls up to the gain of 12.
Yeah, Mack, the lead receiver. That trips formation into the boundary. Good quick hitter there. We haven't seen the deep ball to number 81 yet. That was such a big part of his 2023 success, but Got a feeling that that shot could be coming shortly.
But a yard shy midfield play action pass. Alexander, lots of time, and it is caught down at the 35. Mack again. Another first down as the Alouettes see the Red Blacks get closer, and they're quickly on the move.
Watch Mack on the left side of the screen working across the field. The conversation this week actually with Ottawa receiver Justin Hardy, similar to Austin Mack, a guy who spent some time in the NFL before coming north. And one of the things he talked about as an adjustment is telling young receivers coming up to Canada to play to slow down, sometimes understanding the spacing on the bigger field. You saw the pace there with Austin Mack.
The quarterback draw as Alexander just takes off and he slides, and Darius Pickett was in. They're saying it's late as flags are flying now, and it looks like Pickett is the one coming in on Alexander, and a little scrum ensues after that as tempers start to flare.
Well, it'll be interesting to see which way these flags go, as there are a few of them on the ground, one for the initial shot and then others that came down with the pushing and shoving at the end of the play.
Pierre-Olivier Lestage went right after Pickett. Right as Alexander slides on this short play. He was clearly giving himself up, and see Lestage there immediately pushing Pickett.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing this in slow motion, and this is a call that I always feel a bit of a challenge with. There wasn't a headshot there to me from Pickett. He's kind of turned sideways. He leads with his shoulder in the chest, and believe me, I expect the Montreal guys to protect their quarterback. It's like protecting your goalie in hockey. You're gonna get in there and get after him. But in terms of the flag, I mean, Pickett's got to make a decision probably as to whether he's going to commit to the tackle just as early as Alexander is committing to the slide. I think it's hard for him to not hit him in that situation. I really do. It's a tough call.
And it's still being discussed by Ben Major and his officiating staff. And Ben's got the notebook out. You know what that means. We're not just talking one penalty here.
No.
Jason Moss looking for an explanation as well.
There's 3 fouls on the play. The first one is a major foul, roughing the passer, Ottawa number 6. The second foul is a player misconduct, 15-yard penalty, Ottawa number 23. The third foul, major foul, misconduct, 15-yarder, Montreal number 81. The net result was going to go up 15 yards from the end of the play. It's going to be first down for Montreal.
So 2 against Ottawa, 1 against the Owls and Austin Mack. But bottom line, the net result favorable to Montreal. They get it down to the 21 of the Red Blacks, and a 1st and 10 coming up.
Montreal looking to answer quickly after that Ottawa touchdown drive.
Trying to take that momentum right back in this 8-point ball game. Sibasu in motion, settles in. Alexander, pump fake, looks to the end zone, and there's a collision there, and a flag coming out. Adrian Fry and Tyson Philpott collided, and it took a moment before that flag came out, but we have some interference by the looks of things coming up.
Philpott was lined up out wide to the offensive left. Keep an eye on Philpott. Here's, we'll see the contact at the end of the play. Double move, has him. Ball hangs up. As the ball hangs up, Fry actually gets himself back into the play, and you'll see it. Philpott trying to come back to the football, goes through the defender. He initiates the contact.
As the boos rain down, and the challenge flag in the hand of Bob Dice. As he saw Fry also raise his hands like if it's PI, maybe he's thinking it's against Philpott.
Upon review by the video official, the trajectory of the ball was changed because of the hitting the quarterback. Therefore, there cannot be a pass interference on the play. The result of the play is an incomplete pass. It's second down.
A decision from the replay center, announced by Ben Majors. So there you go. Bottom line, it is back outside the 15 and a second down coming up.
And good call from the replay center to make the correction on that play.
Adrian Fry's been a good addition to that Red Blacks secondary, starting in the field corner. He forced 2 turnovers last week against Saskatchewan, stripping the ball away. So here we go, second down. Alexander with Thomas Hurlington beside him. He's to throw. Moving around to his right, looking for a receiver. He finds James Letcher, and James Letcher finds the end zone. Alouette receiver James Letcher with the touchdown.
A couple of return touchdowns for Letcher last season. He kicks off 2025 with one on offense. He's lined up to the far right of your screen, just working underneath. A couple of deep routes around him, clearing out some space. Nice effort from the diminutive Alouettes receiver to reach that ball across the goal line.
Getting the receiving start, his first, because of the absence of Charleston Rambo coming in. Letcher, in his CFL career, had 4 catches for 21 yards. On this night, Letcher has 3 catches for 30 yards, including this. Another touchdown for the Montreal Alouettes as they increase their lead to 26-11. A James Letcher touchdown isn't exactly novel, but the way he got it this time is.
Yes, sir. Ball coming from the hands of his quarterback as opposed to off the foot of an opposing kicker. There you see Letcher with 2 kick return TDs last season, en route to leading the league in all-purpose yards, adding a few offensive yards to his 2025 total here tonight.
James Letcher became a standout late in the season in 2023, including a big kickoff return for a touchdown against the Argos in the Eastern Final. His 3rd year out of Washburn in Topeka, Kansas. Is Devontae Dedman showing a little reverse handoff there, but instead just hangs on to the football, gets it up across the 35. And here's another look at Letcher getting his first receiving touchdown in the CFL.
Davis Alexander using his legs to buy a little time. Letcher open along the sidelines. Jason Moss likes what he sees from his offense.
It was notable looking at their depth chart too, that because of Charleston Rambo having to be away for personal reasons, to see Letcher in there as a receiver, and making that call look really good in this one. Blitz coming. Beverett just getting to Schultz, but it is caught. Schultz got rid of it, and Justin Hardy, who's had a quiet night by his standards, has a big first down for the Red Blacks across midfield.
And obviously an uphill climb happening here. You see Beverett kind of hit this one on the run, unblocked. But if Montreal's going to blitz, Ottawa's got to make them pay with big plays. They managed to make the connection here. A couple of veterans, Schultz to Hardy, for a big gain.
His first catch since that shovel pass at the start of the game for Hardy. The 1st and 10. Big one there. We'll try to get back in again, setting up a screen to Williams, stand back. Oh, the Alouettes all over that. Adiemi Berglund is there. And Darnell Sankey is there. Dylan Wynn. 2nd and long coming up. Nothing there.
Yeah, as Ottawa's trying to set up the convoy of blockers there, the Montreal defenders, quite frankly, just beat their blocks at the point of attack to get to stand back.
Actually a loss of 1, so a 2nd and 11 coming up. Ball just barely across midfield, and the Red Blacks once again trailing by a couple of scores. It's a 15-point difference at 26-11 past the midway point of the 3rd quarter. Schultz to the right and wide open. The rookie, Keelan White, has it. Another first down deeper into the Alouette zone.
The rookie from North Vancouver, top right of your screen. Number 3 overall pick in the draft out of University of Montana.
We showed you the 2 interceptions Schultz threw, but he's 15 of 20 for 121. And we got movement, the waggling receivers before the snap of the ball, so offside.
Ottawa, number 0. It's a 5-yard penalty. Will replay first down.
Keelan White drafted 3rd overall out of Montana. And Dwayne again is a top Canadian prospect, someone that you had an eye on coming into the draft.
Yeah, terrific college career for Keelan White. You know, this is a guy that Jim Barker absolutely loved in this 2025 draft class.
And they already had a young, promising Canadian receiver, high draft pick, and Nick Mardner, who ended up getting hurt and is out for the season. There's a delay in proceeding with this game as they review the ratio here and number of plays as Ben Major goes off to Bob Dice to explain it.
So they're in a situation of trying to sort out how many plays are remaining, or giving the coach a heads up of how many plays are remaining for a nationalized American, who's William Stanback in this instance, to have his plays count as a national.
Right.
A veteran American player can play a certain number of plays essentially as one of your 7 Canadian starters.
1st and 15, and that offside before. Schultz off to the right and wide open again. It's a nice catch by Adeboboye, but a little bit high, so he couldn't do anything with it after the catch as he just heads out of bounds.
And, you know, just to clarify that, when they say that Stanback has 3 plays left as a nationalized,
he can still stay in.
Yes, it just means that you may have to play another Canadian somewhere else to get Stanback back on the field, where he is back to playing as an American. And I know it's a complicated, convoluted rule. I will say very bluntly, not one of my favorites.
2nd and 6. Off to the right again. Addison has it. Some blockers ahead. First down and more. Najee Murray grabs a chunk of the sweater, but a good pickup after the catch for Braylon Addison. And back come the Red Blacks. Still lots of time. 5:09 in the 3rd quarter.
As you look for positives in this game for Ottawa, you have to love the response here. Again, they score a touchdown. Montreal marches right back with their answer instead of hanging their heads. Ottawa putting together a pretty good drive, and it all started with Schultz hitting Justin Hardy as Tyrese Beverette came free on that blitz.
From the 15, the Alouettes, a first down Ottawa. To the right again, caught again. Khalil Pimpleton this time, and near another first down. He's trying to push his way down towards the Montreal 5. And looks like a 2nd and short is coming up here for the Red Blacks. See where they spot the football. Gain of 9, 2nd and 1. They're getting closer. Lorenzo Burns, the injured Alouette.
Burns, the boundary corner, in on that tackle at the end of the play. I think the victim of friendly fire there is watch 91, Isaac Adeyemi Berglund, running towards the sideline to Pimpleton. And I think the force of the Alouette defensive end coming in was felt by Lorenzo Burns on the corner in that pileup.
Well, Ottawa's not going away as Burns gets some attention. And back and forth they're starting to go now. Ottawa had the interception, which led to a touchdown drive. Montreal, as you say, quickly coming right back to steal the momentum away, but They can get in here and get it back to a one-score game. Still over a quarter to play.
It's going to take more defensive stops or perhaps turnovers, as we saw earlier in this quarter for Ottawa. Trading scores doesn't get them any closer.
Noel Thorpe, longtime defensive coordinator for the Montreal Alouettes, used to coach here in Ottawa as well. Got to start with the Owls back in 2002 in Don Matthews' staff, winning a Grey Cup back in 2002. Same year Chris Jones got his start in the CFL.
And Noel Thorpe will tell you what an influence Don Matthews was, and him philosophically.
2nd and 1, and on the keeper. Now if they got it just barely. There's a little second effort, by Darnell Sankey to see if he can punch that ball out. But looking like another first down. Matthew Schultz stayed in that short yardage play. They didn't need much.
It's now for a first down.
It is indeed. 1st and goal. It's been announced right around the 5. Drive continues.
You know, after that first quarter goal line stand, I think every short yardage play has the Ottawa faithful holding their breath here.
Well, here we go. Red Blacks trying to get in the end zone again. They need to, and there's movement. There's the flag. Dylan Wynn jumping right across the line of scrimmage into the Red Blacks backfield.
Procedure, Ottawa number 63. It's a 5-yard penalty. It's still going to be first down.
But it's against the Red Blacks and the right tackle, Darte Lee.
You see Lee at the tackle spot. They've got the tight end beside him.
And Dylan Wynn makes sure. So that pushes them back near the 10. Still a 1st and goal, Ottawa. The 3 to the left. Schultz looking that way. Into the end zone. Coverage there. A little bump. And they're wanting an interference call, and they're not getting it. Braylon Addison, livid. The contact there, Tywon Mullen, the cover linebacker, in on Addison. Challenge flag out for Bob Dice, wanting an interference call. And there goes the flag. They want the replay center to have another look at this one. There was clearly contact before the ball arrived, although that ball was coming in shorter.
Yeah, trajectory of that ball impacted as Matthew Schultz was under pressure again. Certainly looked at initially, appeared that there was contact.
Challenging the ruling on the last play. They believe there should have been pass interference. The play will be reviewed.
You'll see the receiver, Addison, trying to work back to the football as he recognizes that it's coming up short. He's headed towards the corner, deep in the end zone. We'll take a closer look here. There you see Schultz gets hit on the arm or wrist as he throws that ball. It affects the trajectory, comes up short. Tywon Mullen, the man in coverage, has got wrapped up a little bit with Braylon Addison there.
The throw clearly affected and came in shorter. Addison feeling he was denied the chance to even have a stab at catching it, knocked down from behind by Mullen. There was no flag. Bob Dice throwing his.
And it will be the interesting interpretation here, as we saw the tipped ball result in a PI call being negated earlier. Here, I don't think the ball was actually tipped. I think it was a hit, contact on the quarterback that altered the trajectory of the football.
it's part of the discussion how Schultz's arm was affected in throwing the football. Quite a discussion from the replay center now about this one and what a big decision it is. In this goal-to-goal situation, it could put the Red Blacks down at the 1. Here's the decision from the replay center.
Upon further review, there is no pass interference on the play because the trajectory of the ball was impacted by the hit in the quarterback. The result of the play is an incomplete pass. However, Ottawa maintains their challenge because it's new information. So it's incomplete pass. It's going to be second down.
Well, there, as you talked about, going back to the other play, they decided the trajectory had been affected.
Yeah, essentially not a tipped ball, but a hit on the quarterback that causes the change trajectory. Ultimately, it's about that trajectory being impacted. So in both instances, pass interference is negated.
Okay, so they're not charged a timeout. They're able to pick the flag up, but it's a second and goal from the 10. End zone. Again. Addison! Touchdown!
No doubt.
It was Addison and Mullen again. And Braylon Addison holds it in. And the Red Blacks get closer again.
Tremendous concentration here as Addison knows he's closing on the sideline. He's got a defender on his back, but just stays with it despite Mullen's arm getting in there and pulls that in for a huge Ottawa touchdown.
Braylon Addison, 4 catches on the night for 38 yards and his first touchdown of the season. They went right back to him after the non-interference call. Can't dispute that for Addison and the Red Blacks. They found the end zone again. Plays 73 yards for the touchdown drive by Matthew Schultz. Let's go back to Luke Wilson.
Right, I'll tell you, what impresses me the most with this touchdown drive is, to me, it's a testament of the culture for the Ottawa REDBLACKS and their head coach, Bob Dice. You give up a touchdown, you got to think, right now, you're playing your backup quarterback, your backup center, your backup right tackle against a very, very, very tough defense. Schultz takes a huge hit, completes the pass. Hey, we go to the rookie here, big play, take what the defense gives us. Hey, the Alouettes bring the house. Perfect play call, little wide receiver screen, get the field, make more plays. We go to the challenge, it doesn't work out in our favor, so go right back to the same guy on the same route, and that's an absolute dot by Schultz. I mean, hits his guy right in the chest. So again, to me, as a former player, I look at this thing, I think of Bob Dice, I say, hey, you've got a great culture, because this is a game with all the injuries you've sustained coming into this thing. You could have packed it in. Instead, buckle up for a great fourth quarter incoming.
Could just be, Luke, the way things are going in this third for Ottawa. Couple of touchdowns. And see what the Alouettes do this time. The last time they got it back, it's Letcher on the return, up to about the 32. Davis Alexander and that Al's offense quickly work their way down the field to diffuse that Ottawa momentum, but back come the Red Blacks. One-score game, 26-18. 8-point lead for Montreal late in the third quarter.
As we talked about, as Ottawa was driving down the field, pressure now on the Ottawa defense. Need to stack up some stops here and keep this as a one-possession football game.
Some pressure on that Ottawa defense now. And coming in is Letcher. Busy time of it, getting the starting receiver. The touchdown before, he gets that one up around the 39. And a good pickup to set up a second and short. They're still a few yards shy.
Letcher slow to get up. Got caught up high there, as you saw.
Wanting a face mask call there.
Yeah.
See when he got up, looking for that. There was no flag. Letcher is off. Alouettes, 2nd and 3. Sean Thomas Erlington left side. And looks like he just has enough for the first down on a night when yards along the ground are coming at a premium for both teams. It is a first down up around the 43 of the Alouettes.
Take a look at the battle in the trenches there. Santos Knox and Thomas Erlington, little smile at the end of the play again. Couple of former Hamilton teammates seeing a lot of each other here tonight.
Back and forth they go. Can Montreal do it to Ottawa again? Keep that offense on the field. Final minute, third quarter. Off to Philpott. Coming in is Bennett Williams. Gets him low, knocks him down. 2nd and long coming up for Montreal.
Bennett Williams making the most of those snaps he's getting. And that Ottawa defense.
Third quarter coming to an end. This could be the last play of it. Alexander flushed out on the move, getting chased, and coming in for it was James Letcher, but no catch. And with zeros on the clock, looks like a good stand there for the Red Blacks. The Alouettes are going to have to punt it away with the final 15 set to begin. Still waiting for the official call of three-quarter time. Definitely third down. As they have not switched ends just yet, but that's through 3. We got a game at TD Place. Through 3 quarters, the Alouettes are still leading this game by 8, but Ottawa, good performance by their defense and certainly their offense in that third quarter, Dwayne, to close the gap.
Yeah, doing a nice job to come back, and you heard Luke talk about that, how much of that is about mindset and culture of the team, that when they're in a little bit of a hole, not to hang their heads when something goes wrong, but to battle back regardless of the circumstances. It would be interesting to see here if they can get a stop and do something now that they've managed to whittle that deficit down to 1 possession.
Well, they had the best home record in the CFL last year at 7-1-1, but that one loss was to the Montreal Alouettes. So they haven't beaten here in the stadium since 2018. It's been a long haul, 10 straight games. And they're still down now. They still, as said, have work to do. But there is more hope for Bob Dice and the Ottawa REDBLACKS in their home opener against this Montreal team. The Alouettes will punt. Joseph Zima just inside his 30. Or Devontae Dedmon at his 10. Zima angling it off to the left. With Dedmon coming in, it takes a hop right to him inside the 20. He's got nowhere to go. He still pushes for a couple of yards, but that's where Matthew Schultz will come back and go to work. 19 of 25, 165 yards passing, had a touchdown recently to Braylon Addison, and those 2 first-half interceptions.
We'll now see what Noel Thorpe dials up defensively for Montreal to try and stem the momentum that Ottawa has gained on its last couple of offensive possessions.
You were talking about that blitz when Beverett was so close to getting him right in his face as he got rid of it and into Hardy's hands. Hardy made a nice catch. That was a big play for the Ottawa offense in that third quarter. On one of their touchdown drives, they started their 23. Empty backfield, throwing, knocked at the line of scrimmage. Sankey coming in, getting the hands up, disrupting that play. 2nd down.
We've seen couple of interceptions. That defensive line getting their hands up. This time Sankey working across on the blitz. a man who manages to get in that passing lane.
What a pickup he was by the Owls in their stretch run to the championship in 2023. Key addition to that Montreal defense 2 years ago. 2nd and 10. Some pressure coming, getting rid of it. No! Into the hands by the looks of things for Khalil Pimpleton, but it falls incomplete, and that's it. It's a 3rd down coming up. Red Blacks will have to punt it away.
Yeah, Pimpleton working back to the football here, but good coverage again from Wesley Sutton. Able to come through with the hands. Dislodge that football.
Alouettes could get good field position coming up here. Leone inside his 10. Back for James Letcher. Busy night for that man. The returner and receiver takes it off the hop. Midfield inside the Red Black zone. He keeps his feet. Good return by Letcher to get it down to the Ottawa 40.
Power, precision, performance. The Lincoln Navigator Cup. Who will have their mic drop moment? July 1st, only on TSN.
Duthie and O'Dog. Can't wait to see that. 1st and 10 Alouettes. Trying to go to 2-0. Alexander trying to improve to 6-0 as a starter. And Byron Archambault, special teams coordinator, talking to James Letcher, who take a little break. Might be a little more tired tonight.
Yeah.
Getting the regular reps on offense and returns that we're used to seeing.
Well, he's such a valuable asset in the return game that it does become about, call it asset management. Right? You got to limit how many snaps he plays on him.
Here's Travis Tice, who we saw him in the preseason returning kicks as well, as they had sat Letcher and Tice, the ball carrier, there for a couple of yards. Another look at Letcher.
He got crumpled up a little bit on that.
Oh my goodness.
Tackle.
Oh, that's just fortunate to see he wasn't hurt on that, but bending in ways we barely should. Sean Thomas Erlington back in and running back on a 2nd and 8. Pressure coming on the blitz. They get to him. He's down. And a 3rd down coming up. And they push the Alouettes back outside their 40. Blessman to Alla. First sack of the night.
Yeah, to Alla. On the nose on this one. Managed to get it sort of under the punch of the center, Justin Lawrence, on that one. Lifting the arms so Lawrence couldn't get hands on him.
Jose Maltos 4 for 4, longest to 49, and that's what this one is as well. 49-yard try again to stay perfect and to make it a 2-score game again. It's at 8 right now. Zima puts it down, and a nice little spin back right down the middle. 5 for 5, and he's flexing again. Had an important role for the Alouettes in this one. Alexander with the blitz coming. Down he goes to Halla, his head coach. Or something like that. Auto racing fans, get ready for the F1 Canadian Grand Prix at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. Tune in Sunday, 1:55 p.m. Eastern, 10:55 a.m. Pacific on TSN and CTV, and stream exclusive digital-only race feeds for all season long on TSN+. There's Jose Maltos in behind Davis Alexander, and he's got the standard flex for the kicker. After every one he gets, he just got another. He's 5 for 5 on the night. He's 29-18. Here's William Stanback. They haven't run a lot so far this season, really. Stanback does get that one up. Good pickup on 1st down for the first-year Red Black, who started his career. Had some good years, too, including a Grey Cup title with the Montreal Alouettes.
Yeah, a little change of pace going back to the run. Maybe in hopes of trying to slow down the rush of that Montreal defense, keep them honest a little bit with the ground game.
2nd and 5, Ottawa 45. Red Blacks enough for the 1st down. Just chipping away here, still plenty of time, just under 11 minutes. Braylon Addison with the big touchdown catch late in the 3rd quarter. Marc-Antoine Dequoy The longtime safety now, the Alouettes in there. Remember all the big plays, especially 2 years ago in their Grey Cup run that man made.
That turnover machine.
He was. First and 10 up near midfield. Red Blacks down by 11. Schultz throwing, completing. Addison in the Alouette zone. Down around the 50. Very close to another first down. But a yard shy.
Ottawa doing a nice job here. Nickel and diming, quick hitters. Again, limit the impact of the Montreal pressure package by getting the ball out of the QB's hands quickly.
So it's a 2nd and 2 in the Alouette side of the field. Throwing and knocked away. Jump ball, Wesley Sutton at the 20. Inside the 10. Touchdown. Another defensive touchdown for the Montreal Alouettes. And a big step in putting this one away.
And this is at least the 3rd interception of the game that is the result of that defensive line. This time it's Sean Oakman getting his hands up at the line of scrimmage. Samuel Uguak and Jeffrey Cantin-Arcou with interceptions on similar types of plays. Those picks right at the line of scrimmage. Guys lining up at the line. Making plays on those thrown balls.
They had a defensive touchdown on their opener by Isaac Adeyemi Berglund. Big defensive play, Lual Uguak earlier in this game, and then that one deflected right up in the air for Wesley Sutton to say thank you very much. Taking it all the way back to the red black end zone. Montreal's really in charge now.
Wesley Sutton with the latest big play for the Montreal defense. Sutton's coming from off screen on the blitz, but in the meantime, watching the middle of your screen, Sean Oakman. Oak's going to get the big mitt up on that ball, bats it up in the air as Sutton just continues through on the blitz, finds himself in the right place at the right time to come up with that pick 6. The Alouettes now doubling up.
But Montreal's up front. I mean, touchdown for Sutton, but up front in the first couple of games, the pressure that they got on Arbuckle last week leading to that touchdown. Then you got the interception from Uguak in the first half in this game. Seen deflections at the line of scrimmage, and the biggest one there by the tallest player in the field tonight, Sean Oakman.
Yeah, and there's just the level of awareness. You know, it seems almost as if it's something that has been emphasized, that as a pass rusher, don't just get your head down and have that tunnel vision in terms of trying to get to the quarterback, but recognize that if you're held up at the line of scrimmage, you can still impact the play, and they have done that so effectively tonight.
Sean Oakman started his career with the Argos and went off to Edmonton. He was with the Elks last season and finding a new home with the Alouettes. 36-18 Montreal. Ottawa football to 35. And Daniel Adeboboye, the ball carrier, getting it up closer to the 40.
You know, you think about some of the plays made by this Montreal defensive line tonight, and particularly guys playing in the interior, Dylan Wynn, Sean Oakman. We've seen Walt Uguak take some snaps in there as well. They're getting this done without Mustafa Johnson in their lineup. He's still on the injured list.
Who has been their best defensive lineman the last year or two. 3-man rush, 2nd and 7. And it is caught in traffic. A lot of traffic there and a big first down. Khalil Pimpleton gets it down inside the Montreal 45.
And Pimpleton coming from depth on this one. So a couple receivers in the same path at different levels there. I believe it was Justin Hardy who jumped for that one. But Schultz finding the deeper receiver in Pimpleton.
Gain of 26. Pressure this time, and they've got him. Another sack for the Alouettes defense. That's Adeyemi Berglund. It's some big plays so far this season for the East nominee as top Canadian in 2024. Kantaraku involved in that sack as well.
Yeah, Schultz trying to step up, steps right into Adeyemi Berglund. Great chat with him about his football journey this week from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, originally.
7:22 and counting down. More heat on Schultz. He escapes it. He gets rid of it. And it's high. And Burns is there on the coverage of Eugene Lewis, whose streak is certainly in jeopardy at this point in time. He has 9 straight games with at least a touchdown, one shy of the record of Terry Evanston, but there's still plenty of time for that opportunity, and they certainly need to be throwing it more now in this situation, but getting a little closer. He had one last week at Mosaic in Regina, but it's a 3rd down. Not this drive, as they have to punt it away. Leone off to the right. James Letcher does take it, and he cuts it back, spins around, and gets what he can. A yard or 2 inside the Alouette 20. Further back, but they're in charge. 36-18. Friday Night Football from Ottawa. Jason Moss believes in a winning culture. He's done a lot of things, team-building exercises to build that. Let's go back to Claire Hanna.
Yeah, and Rod, as we know, Jason Moss is big on mantras and big on keeping his team connected and competitive off of the field. So it's why he started the grind for 9 as they go for their 9th Grey Cup. And he's also split the team up into what he calls bird's nests. They're teams off of the field, led by a coach and then players from different positional groups. Before each game day, what they do is they compete in mini competitions, putting, pickleball, hoops, cornhole, you name it. And his goal is for them to be ultra competitive in every rep they take, but also get to know players and teammates quicker who they might not be in the same position with. He says you're playing for someone that's not yourself, and that's what this bird's nest is all about.
And the team building exercise shows on the field too, and the character of this Alouettes team. That's a big strike from Davis Alexander to Austin Mack as they're up now by 18 points, and there's a 47-yard pickup.
Yeah, fake the hitch. Mack runs through, goes deep. Alexander hits him over the top for a big gain into Ottawa territory. A game that very quickly here in the first half of the 4th quarter went from being a 1-score game to a 3-score game, and the Alouettes clearly looking for more.
Very quickly to Mack. His 5 catches, 89 yards to lead the way for the Alouettes. One play and into the red-black zone. 1st and 10. Alexander deep right again, and this time his receiver's down. Closest to it, C.J. Colden, and a flag does come out. No Alouette receiver in sight. The closest was Tyson Philpott.
Defensive pass interference, Ottawa number 36. It's going to be 1st down for Montreal at the spot of the foul.
We'll take a quick look at that Philpott-Colden matchup on the outside. A little stutter step, and there you saw a little grab, just enough to knock him off stride.
Davis Alexander at 205 last week. Passing, he's at 323 right
First
now.
down for Montreal at the 33-yard line. 33.
The spot of the foul. So it'll be at the Ottawa 33 and a 1st down for the Alouettes as they move the football a little further back now. The Alouettes getting closer to a 2-0 start, heading to Edmonton next week. The Red Blacks also Alberta bound next week to take on the Stampeders in Calgary. Under 6 minutes. Fourth quarter, 36-18, Montreal leading it with the football in the Ottawa zone. In position to get some more. Travis Tice, rookie running back, going nowhere. He's pushed back. Coming in, Charlie Ringland helped get that started with Colton helping out as well. Ringland getting the start at safety after this devastating injury, elbow injury to Alonzo Adai that ended his season.
Yes, the entire secondary coming downhill here. Ringland already mugged up right at the line of scrimmage. Flowing with that one. Terrific comeback story of his own as Ringland suffered a knee injury at the Combine a couple of years ago. It kept him out for the entire 23 season. Still selected by the BC Lions. Ended up playing a little bit for them last year before coming over to Ottawa in the offseason.
Little screen pass to Tice. Has the momentum. Tice inside the 20. Gets it down to the Red Black 15. There's a first down for Montreal.
And there you see some of the quickness and burst of Travis Tice taking off upfield after catching the screen pass. A couple of good blocks out in front.
You know, sometimes when we talk about these preseason games, and they met here in the preseason 2 weeks ago, very few. Tice is one of the few that played that night. Most of the starters rested. But he's just one of those players that kind of made an impression. You're wondering how easy is it going to be to cut this guy?
Yeah, well, essentially he went out and won a roster spot as the Alouettes ended up letting Walter Fletcher go.
They have Stevie Scott, keeping him, and Scott is injured. So Sean Thomas Erlington, their feature back, and now some late game reps for Travis Tice. Played his college ball and was a star at South Dakota. And didn't look uncomfortable in special teams returning kicks either in that preseason game.
Well, the more you can do.
I feel good for that guy, Thomas Erlington, the veteran, getting his reps now in that Montreal offense. Tice again stopped and thought about it and then found a little place to go to pick up a few more yards, down approaching the 10 and getting closer to the 3-minute time, and the Alouettes pressing for more points, very much in charge of this game now. The timeout called by the Red Blacks. We told you earlier, and Bob Dice was around too, the last time the Red Blacks in this stadium beat the Alouettes. He was special teams coordinator this back in 2018. When Dice took over as head coach on an interim basis in 2022, they went to Montreal, his first game as Red Blacks head coach, and they beat the Alouettes in Montreal on Thanksgiving Monday, and that was the last time, Dwayne, that they have beaten Montreal, period. It's been a while.
And you'd think just for the sheer number of times that these two teams meet in the course of a season that such a streak wouldn't span so many years, but the Owls have just had Ottawa's number, and especially here in the nation's capital.
Oh, get ready for the flex. You knew it was coming. Becoming a Maltos trademark now as he pumps that one through 6 for 6. Calgary Stampeders, Vernon Adams victorious in week 1 over Hamilton. Nick Arbuckle still playing for the injured Chad Kelly. And Trevor Harris, they get the victory over the Ottawa Redblacks last week, and Bo Levi Mitchell. So you get the Argos and Stamps, and you get the Ticats hosting the Saskatchewan Roughriders, a doubleheader Saturday that is coming up tomorrow on TSN. Dustin Crum, the quarterback now. He was thrown into the fire 2 years ago because of all the injured QBs in Ottawa. Ended up starting half the season. No starts last year. He did fill in for Drew Brown on occasion with injuries, but Crum is in now for Matthew Schultz. Get some reps now. Schultz at 22 for 32 for 205. Tries the screen. It's going backwards. It's out of Boboye, and coming in is Beverett. And Dylan Wynn in there, too.
Let's welcome once again, your Ottawa Redblacks cheer and dance team.
Well, Alouettes have been celebrating good times in this stadium for a long time. Looks like they're going to be again. Well, Isaac Adeyemi Berglund, and he's not alone. These D linemen, Luke Wilson, should be giving them all game balls.
Yes, they definitely should. And I'll start by saying, like we mentioned earlier, Rod, it's tough sledding for the Ottawa REDBLACKS. You're missing Peter Godber at center. You got him in the offseason. Fun fact, he's the best Canadian ever play at Rice University. You're missing your right tackle, and you're playing a defense led by the defensive coordinator, Noel Thor, who brings a lot of different looks, and it's been very, very tough all night. Your backup quarterback hasn't really seen the field very well. The run game, as we're watching right now, has been absolutely stonewalled. And I'll say this about Schultz, he's had some good moments, but the arm slot is not really over the top. It's a little bit of a three-quarter throw, so there's been some tip balls have obviously, gotten interceptions. You feel for him. It's a tough day, but I think there is a lot of positives. When Ottawa gets healthy, it'll be a different team.
A little self-deprecating there from the former tight end from Rice University.
Well,
giving the medal to somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to hear the, the top 3, top 5, maybe Canadians on that list.
Come on, Luke. Where do you rank?
Hey, you know what? I'll give myself Christian Covington's and their Canadian Rice guy.
Go.
It's a pretty tough sled here. I got a feeling that Godber might take the cake. I might put Covington at 2, and I might go myself at 3.
So humble, Luke Wilson, on this night.
Which one is leading in Super Bowl rings?
Yeah.
I might take the cake in that one.
Yeah, we'll give that one to you. And we'll give this one to Montreal in a 2-0 start. They led the CFL in victories last year, even though they slowed down a bit at the end after they clinched first in the East for Jason Moss, as the Argos turned the tables on them after what Toronto did in 23. Montreal went in and won the East final, went on to win the Grey Cup. But they beat the Argos soundly last week, and they are continuing their dominance over the Ottawa REDBLACKS, who, as said, best at home last year at 7-1-2. That one loss was to Montreal, and that we're looking at now 11 straight wins in this stadium for the Alouettes. 2:20 on the clock, 39-18. Davis Alexander, another solid night for him. Travis Tice breaks a tackle. He puts his head down and he keeps plowing. He gets it inside, outside the 30-yard line for Tice.
And Rod, as you allude to those back-to-back East Division final matchups between Montreal and Toronto, we talked to Jason Moss a little bit about those games this week, and one of the big things he pointed out is basically both of those games were decided by turnovers. The team that had trouble holding on to the football ended up losing, and so I mean, that has been a point of emphasis for them this season, and so to see what a factor that's been in the outcome of this ball game, not a total surprise, not a fluke. This is something certainly by design for Jason Moss, Noel Thorpe, and the Montreal Alouettes. Defense getting after that football, and that offense looking to take care of the rock.
Well, they've won the turnover battle. Right now it's 4-2. Alouettes have forced more turnovers, and when they turned it over themselves, Letcher with the fumble and the punt return early, that's when the defense picked him up with that goal line stand. What a key moment back in the first when it was 2 cracks from the 1. And the REDBLACKS could not get the touchdown. Straight up the gut. Travis Tice runs for the first down to keep this thing going. 2:06 on the clock. As mentioned, both of these teams Alberta bound next week. Montreal goes to Edmonton. Ottawa goes to Calgary.
Interesting as well to see the Alouettes as they look to close this game out. Put the ball in the hands of the rookie Travis Tice.
8 carries, 22 yards. Sean Thomas Erlington at 6 carries for 20. And William Stanback on the other side ran for 29, so not a whole lot of successful running here. It's tough in there. Case in point again. Right now, the Alouettes will take that quite comfortably as the clock is down to 1:42.
That's it. Striving to keep that clock ticking at this point in the ball game.
Montreal going against a couple of their old stars on the same night. See Santos Knox there, but on Ottawa's offense, of course, Gino Lewis and William Stanback. And Lewis doesn't look like he'll be able to continue the touchdown streak. It looks like it ends at 9, tied for second all time. Oh, Tice running as he puts his head down. Look at him still keep his feet. He does never seem to give up on a play.
Digging back into the archives a little bit, but wearing number 30, I'm feeling a little bit of Josh Ronick, the little ball of hate.
A name familiar to older Ottawa football fans.
Yeah.
I believe going back to the Renegades, was it not? Or even the old Rough Riders?
I'm going to go Renegades.
Renegades in the early 2000s, yeah. Josh Ronick. Just keep feeding 30. Why not? He doesn't seem to mind the reps. Picks up a few more yards. Gets it down to the 50 as they just keep working that clock down. Now under a minute.
Yeah, a little physical ground game here. The ground and pound. Just wearing Ottawa down.
Think of all
in the fourth.
I was going to say, think of all the times they did that with 31. William Stanback in his years with the Owls. Get a lead, hand it off, just keep running it down their throat. 2nd and 6 now. Clock ticking. Down to about a half minute to go. And the Alouettes stay perfect on this season. He's still going. Tice. Fry. Takes him down. Gets some help from Bennett Williams. Not over yet. The young man, Travis Tice, must be getting a little tired now, although each play is not really showing it as he moves it deeper.
I mean, he may be getting tired, but I don't think he's as tired as the Ottawa defensive front. And it's that fatigue that contributes to this run. Wear him down, wear him down, wear him down, and then eventually the dam breaks with a run like this.
Jason Moss loves that. Just stick to the running game and wrap this thing up. Get some congrats on the sideline now as Davis Alexander can take a knee. And what had gotten interesting in the third quarter, but Montreal eventually put it away, and the dominance over the Ottawa REDBLACKS continues.
Yeah, Grey Cup champions in 2023. Topped the East Division in the regular season in 2024. This is a group that knows how to win, and they demonstrated that in the fourth quarter. The game got close, but they just pulled away and took care of business at closing time.
And that number keeps growing higher for Bob Dice and the REDBLACKS. The drought against Montreal here at TD Place, going back to August of 2018, and it's back to October of 2022 since they have beaten the Alouettes, period. Davis Alexander, 22 of 32, 344 this time. Touchdown and a pick, and the most important thing, he's improved to 6-0, so he's climbing that ladder now. And for the REDBLACKS, falling to 0-2. Up next tomorrow, doubleheader.